Incidents in the South Island. Police say a party of 4 tourists was crossing the Waiho River near Franz Josef Glacier last night when 2 of them were swept off their feet and washed downstream. Searchers later found the 2 bodies, that of a 30-year-old Chinese woman and a 23-year-old woman from Malaysia. And further north, a 63-year-old Nelson retiree slipped to his death in Kahurangi National Park.
A fire has swept through a hospital in India, claiming the lives of 89 people. The blaze broke out in the basement of Amri Hospital in Kolkata, in the east of the country. Witnesses reported some medical staff fled the building as patients were trapped inside. 6 hospital board members have now been arrested. Jennifer Humphreys reports.
A desperate cry for help as medical staff and patients broke windows to try and flee the flames. Some made makeshift escape routes out of sheets as the heat and fumes threatened to engulf them. People living in a nearby slum were the first to notice the smoke, but said they were held back by security staff as they tried to help out. Those who managed to get through did all they could. The maze of narrow streets made it difficult for emergency services to reach the hospital. Fire trucks were forced to charge through gates to extend ladders to those most in need. It was a fight for survival as relatives waiting below were already fearing the worst. And as people were rushed away, a number of body bags began mounting up. The private hospital was recently rated one of the best in the city by an Indian magazine, but there are now some difficult questions to answer. Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, visited the hospital and has ordered its licence is withdrawn. She also vowed that strict action will be taken against anyone found responsible for the deadly blaze. Already 6 hospital officials have been arrested on charges of culpable homicide. Jennifer Humphreys, 3 News.
More violence has erupted in Syria, with reports of up to 24 people being killed, including 4 children, during demonstrations. Amateur footage has emerged showing a Syrian tank firing down a residential street in Homs and men running for cover. And a pipeline carrying oil to a refinery in Homs has been targeted and blown up. The state-run news agency is blaming the attack on saboteurs.
Around 150 people have marched in Auckland to protest against plans to move tenants from state houses in Glen Innes. They say around 160 families could be relocated as part of the Housing New Zealand plan to redevelop the area. Housing New Zealand wants to replace older units with 260 new homes. But the people who marched in Auckland today say some of the families who could be moved have lived in their homes for decades.
Kiwi rights are under attack.
Housing New Zealand says it has over 1,500 houses in the area, so it's hardly possible that families wanting to remain in the area will be able to do so. Holden has unveiled its new electric car in Sydney, which can be charged from any standard 240-volt plug. 4 hours charging will take it 80 kilometres, but its range isn't limited to that. Holden is calling it revolutionary, but it's come under scrutiny in the US after catching fire following crash testing. 3 News Australia correspondent Samantha Hayes was the first Kiwi journalist behind the wheel.
This is General Motors' Volt, a virtually silent electric car. Doesn't make any noise. 5,000 have been sold under the Chevrolet brand in the US, but this is the first look at Holden's version.
If you can plug in a mobile phone and recharge it, you can plug in this car.
The Volt has a lithium-ion battery and can travel 80 kilometres before it needs recharging. It also has a 1.4-litre petrol engine, but it's not a hybrid.
So the petrol engine actually charges the battery instead of driving the wheels.
Keep it charged and it doesn't need petrol. American talk show host Jay Leno has driven his 16,000 kilometres on one tank. Interest in the Chevrolet Volt plummeted in the US after the car caught fire following a series of crash tests. General Motors is investigating the fires, which started in the car's battery weeks after the tests. In the meantime, it's offered to buy back the car from anyone now too scared to drive it. Should people be concerned about that?
No, not at all. There's been some severe testing done on side impacts, and then the vehicles weren't powered down after the testing was done.
No, they don't catch fire when they're driving around.
This isn't the first electric car.
The electric car is here.
The EV1 from General Motors.
According to this 2006 documentary, GM and Big Oil deliberately killed the electric car by cancelling leases and crushing them.
Yeah, the electric car today and the technology behind it actually is more commercially viable than it was, say, 15 years ago.
The Volt, Holden says, is here to stay, and the experts agree it's got legs.
It looks cool, and I think that's really important. If you were buying this vehicle because you were concerned about emissions levels, you'd be very impressed.
The Volt will be available in New Zealand in late 2012 at a cost of around $70,000. Not cheap, but then charging it costs less than a flat white. Samantha Hayes, Sydney, 3 News.
Well, still to come on 3 News, we profile New Zealand's first deaf MP, Mojo Mathers, from the Dream Party, what Santa plans to give us at the cinema this Christmas, and New Zealand's newest bridge, will it solve the infamous traffic jams en route to the Coromandel?
There were some people that really resented me for